Why does Joey Armstrong matter to the show? He shows, I think, that there is corruption behind wealth.
So when you can manipulate somebody, it don't matter how bad they are.
Right.
If you know you can manipulate them, it's like, well, why not? Let's keep this person around.
Right. Joey has a whole system
of
just fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
One of his biggest weaknesses being that he underestimates emotional variables like guilt, fear, revenge.
Yep.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Loving Them Gates, a Beyond the Gates weekly podcast where Brian H. Butters and Queen PR dissects the latest episodes of the new hit show Beyond the Gates. We'll break down all the plot twists, character arcs, and iconic moments with our unique perspectives and a whole lot of love.
Welcome back to Loving Them Gates. We are here for a character deep dive on one of my favorite characters, and that is Mr. Joey Armstrong.
Yeah, those are back. Deep dives are back.
I'm welcoming people back to the show.
I know, I'm just saying.
I'm not saying we're back after a long time. I'm just saying welcoming the gatekeepers back to the show.
Yeah, come on in, sit down, have a seat.
Exactly, have a seat. So we're going to be getting into the underworld, the criminal underworld of Fairmont Crest. Mm-hmm. And I was originally planning to do a video just on the criminal element of Beyond the Gates, but so much is tied to Joey Armstrong that this is probably going to end up being more of a deep dive on Mr. Armstrong. So
yeah, because he's the only one who can seem to get it right. The rest of them just too dumb to really criminalize.
Yeah, and it seems like Leslie is she's been outsmarting everyone. It doesn't look like she's gonna get caught anytime soon.
Right.
So Joey Armstrong is one of the characters on the show who has means, but he was not born into wealth.
Right.
He wasn't born behind those gates. He had a hard upbringing and he had to kind of make his own way in the world, so that shapes his lens, which makes his relationship with Vanessa McBride very interesting. So we're not going to be talking about Joey's relationships for this deep dive. We're strictly just going to be talking about the criminal element. Mm-hmm. So when I was looking up his character, and it was why does Joey Armstrong matter to the show? And it's interesting because I get the gist that he was not meant to be a full-time character, that he was gonna do some appearances, probably kind of kick off the show because he was involved in that initial crime and cover up, but he just kind of fits the show, and the actor has expressed how much he enjoys being on Beyond the Gates, and they have expanded his character, which I'm very excited about. But why he matters to the show? So he shows, I think, that there is corruption behind wealth, behind all the shiny exteriors and the country club and all that kind of stuff. There is a lot that goes on, behind the scenes. And crime can be hidden behind these respectable people.
Yeah.
And then the danger of systems that protect these criminals. Joey represents that. He has enforcers in real life, like the Randy Parkers of the world, but then he has enforcers institutionally, like Marcel Malone in the police department. So or even politically now, because Martin owes him a favor, socially even now with Vanessa McBride. So Joey Armstrong has been very good at kind of planting his corruption seeds everywhere in the society, and you kind of see him talk about it with conversations with Vanessa, where he's just I'm not one of y'all, but I know all of y'all type of weaknesses. I'm the one that fuels your vices. I see who y'all really are, and I think that's what makes his character so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you think back to his first real victim, Doug.
Yep.
And with Doug McBride, he had to, he kept fueling him to make sure Doug would keep coming back. And Doug would think he would get out of this debt. He said, nah, I'm going to keep egging him on. I'm going to keep pushing him, essentially, until Doug was about to go to the ops and everything. And
he tried.
as far as we know, he got.
Doug, we could start. He's a great case study
Mm-hmm.
for what Joey is capable of, because Doug on paper was this respectable doctor who got caught up in his gambling addiction, and Joey Armstrong zeroed in on that. And he manipulated Doug's wins. He manipulated Doug's losses in every sense of the word. He manipulated his addiction to gambling, and then used all of that in his favor in the end by forcing Vanessa to launder his money in her business. And that led to, a whole nother situation. And this is not even counting like killing him. This is all prior to that. Like this is Joey Armstrong's business model. Yeah,
he's definitely somebody that you got to stay away from, when
period.
you think about everything that he's done. But it's also like, if you want that shortcut and you want that opportunity to go where you didn't think you could go, well, you use the Joey Armstrong to help you get there.
Yeah, exactly. So we've talked on our show a lot about what he did to Doug. We have a Doug episode actually that's really good, because we recorded it like either right as he died or was like off the show. So that's a really good deep dive. We talk a lot about Joey in there, but I want to talk about his accomplices. So let's talk about Randy Parker. So Randy seems...
What was his other name?
Damn, I can't remember. I'll look it up. But what was your first impression of Randy, like in the context of Joey's kind of
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I saw this guy who basically was his whipping boy, and I just couldn't believe it. And then even when he had the opportunity, he was supposed to die. He was supposed to get clipped.
Yep.
And then he was like, nah, it's probably easy if I keep you alive and just kind of do whatever I want you to do.
Yep.
But the moment that I lost all respect for him, when he didn't go to Doug's funeral, I said, because I didn't want you to be mad at me. And that's one of those things where you sit there, you see it, you say, boy, I just want to beat the hell out of you. Because why would you let this man, let alone this white man, just do you like that?
Right.
I wanted to like smack the shit out of him.
Exactly. And it's funny because when we meet Randy, he still kind of has a little bit of a backbone. Like he is trying to get Joey to take his claws out of Doug and just like, yo, leave him alone. As Doug was trying to quit gambling, like Randy was like, yo, just let him go. And Randy and Joey was like, no. And I feel like it's one of those situations where maybe if Randy didn't go so hard, maybe Joey would have just let it go. But now it's like the fact that you think I'm going to take it easy on your boy, like now I'm not going to take it easy on him, and we're going to zero in on him even more and make sure that goes down. So Randy Parker, who I'm sure we'll talk about a lot more, his other alias was Sammy. That's what he used when he was in hiding. So just some background on him. So I'd like to give the actors a shout out. Maurice P. Carey. And he's been on since episode 3, so he's like an OG cast or character cast member or whatever. But he grew up with Doug McBride. They've been friends their whole lives, but Randy, his life obviously took a different turn. Doug went to medical school and Randy did not. He ended up finding steady work at the casino, and working for Joey Armstrong and being involved in his gambling schemes. But I think things get mixy for Randy when he botched that hit. He was supposed to kill Kenny. Remember Kenny?
Yeah, wow.
Kenny was the survivor, I guess, of the whole Martin beating that guy to death.
Right.
And to protect Vernon and them covering it up and calling Joey to cover it up. Marcel, dirty cop, covered it up. And then Bill got Joey to pay Ted to give Kenny plastic surgery so that they would, he wouldn't be recognized and all this entire cover up that like eventually gets unraveled and everyone finds out what's going on. But when they find out that Kenny's alive, Joey's like, yo, Randy, go finish the job, as an enforcer should be able to do easily, and he botches the job.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. Wow, you take it back when you think about that. You think about everything, like, you look at Randy and like, what is your purpose?
He doesn't have one.
Like, seriously, what is your purpose? You know, and I know we'll get into more of his other shits, but it's just crazy. Like, how you botch? You're supposed to be an enforcer. How you botch that?
Right, exactly. And not only did he botch the job, but Kenny was lured to the casino thinking that they were going to pay him off $10,000 to get out of town again. And then he ends up, and then they were going to kill him and then bring the money back. But Randy Sammy decides to take off. Not only did you botch a hit, you left a witness, and then you stealing money.
Yeah, I thought
from
he was
Joey.
done.
It's just like he was done, and then his boy Doug and Vanessa saved his life.
Yep.
If you don't remember, and Joey was like, you know what? I'm gonna let you live, but you're gonna be in debt to me.
Yep.
Or I think he goes into hiding, but he basically was like, if you surface again, like, it's a wrap for you. You know. And you mentioned Randy not going to Doug's funeral because he didn't want Joey to be upset, and I think even Joey was just like you know, like, I feel like Joey's one of those, like, I'm gonna say mob boss, for lack of a better term, that sees the humor in, like, the situations and the people that he deals with. We're watching The Sopranos right now, so it's like, it's different. Like, Tony definitely didn't find the humor in these situations, but I feel like Joey sees people for who they are, and it's just like, you're ridiculous.
You know, he got him by the balls, but he's still laughing at it.
Exactly. One of the recent discoveries for Joey is Randy's relationship with Haley.
Yeah.
And he knows that there's way more to that. And Joey's one of those people, if he's asking you questions, if you feel like he's interrogating you about something, he already knows the answer.
Yeah.
He has cameras everywhere. He's been doing this kind of business for too long not to know every single thing that's going on. And he's asking Randy these questions. Randy's just telling these stupid lies, knowing damn well Haley's his cousin. You saying that y'all are having an affair. Like, it's just so outlandish, and you would just think Randy was just a smarter criminal. You know, I'm like, is Randy just a bad criminal, or do we look at Joey and say, like, how do you have someone this incompetent in your team? Right, you know what I'm saying?
But it's also, when you can manipulate somebody, it don't matter how bad they are.
Right.
If you know you can manipulate them, it's like, well, why not? Let's keep this person around.
Right. Exactly. And then just reading up on Randy's character, he has a child, and Joey knows where his ex and his child lives, and that's some of the leverage that Joey has always had over him, and that is how Joey is able to do what he does. So the thing with Joey compared to, let's say, like Haley, so Haley is someone who has like a personal vendetta against people, so that's kind of how she's like fucked up. But like Joey has a whole like system of just like fucking people. And it's hard to like penetrate that. For some people, maybe.
That's facts, you know. And man, I don't know, you sit back and you watch how Joey's handling things, but then you see the other criminals around him, and you be like, no, y'all just stupid. And Joey might not even have to be that good. Right. He's just better than the rest. Right. You know, like, you bring up Haley, like, you know, watching Haley and Randy, it's like we said, like, y'all having these conversations over the phone in public places.
Come on.
Like, there's laws where you're protected if you're in a public place, where it's like, well, technically it's a public place, so nobody's eavesdropping. You know?
Right. Exactly. So there's another accomplice or enforcer in Joey's camp, and that's Marcel Malone. And he's a corrupt cop. So it's funny because when we first are introduced to Malone, he's like the grizzly old vet. Yeah. That Jacob is partnered with, who immediately is like, this nigga is sketchy. Something's up.
The Boy Scout.
You know, Jacob got to do the right thing and stuff. So he automatically tries to get into Marcel's shit. But little does Jacob know, or maybe he knows a little now, that his father, who's the police commissioner, I believe, I know he is in a position of power, is also dirty.
Yeah, I remember when he said that.
Yeah.
He was so hurt.
He was also dirty, and they basically shut down Jacob's investigation. Like, they're just like, we're not doing this. Bringing it back to the gatekeepers who've been watching since the beginning, Schmitty was doing that story on Marcel, and it started out, I think, as a spotlight, or they were acting like it was, and then things started getting uncovered, and then it all led back to Joey Armstrong, and that's when even Martin, because Martin and the Duprees have business with Joey Armstrong, whether it's current, whether it's the past, or maybe in the future as well. But they have business with Joey, and they were like, yo, Schmitty, I'm gonna need you to shut that down. Kill that story ASAP.
He got crazy. Martin telling him, trying to prevent him from getting the job, because Smitty's an investigative journalist, so he wants to get the dirt.
And once he put them glasses on, he's serious. He gonna find that story. But we get the idea that Marcel has worked for Joey for a long time. Doing various things, murders, setups, threats, all of the, and now he seems like he just wants to just retire and he's just taking it easy. But at one point, Marcel was like about that life.
Yeah, he was.
It seemed like.
But he can't even retire.
No, Joey said, nah, he's too useful.
Yeah, and
he is too useful.
That sucks. You work all these years. You want to get on a boat, and just have fun. You're like, nope.
And then you also have Jacob's father, who is like, he's now a liability for me now. Like, he's not as helpful to me as he is to you. I want him gone. I need him to retire. And Joey was just like, no. So imagine like how much power you have to tell the police commissioner, like, nah, I'm not letting your detective retire because he is helpful to my criminal organization. And it's funny that Marcel was able to get away with everything he has, because there is a paper trail. Like, he's received at least $500,000, tied to some of the crimes that he's, he covered up Kenny's murder. He covered up Doug McBride's murder. Like, there's a lot out there. And he even knows, I feel like there's a sense of defeat in Marcel now, because he knows that Joey probably has evidence. Like, there's still tapes out there of, like, Marcel even asked him, like, the Doug tapes, the cover-ups, like, are those tapes destroyed? Joey's telling him yes. We all know Joey did not destroy them tapes, and if Joey needs to use them tapes against Marcel, he will pull those out any chance that he gets.
It's like Proctor.
Right. So he's been able to kind of be bubbling under the surface in this very like high elite society of Fairmont Crest, and he knows his place. Now I think Vanessa, because he genuinely loves Vanessa, he's kind of like creeping into the light a little bit more. In civilian mode. He's having lunch at the country club, and he's getting involved as of recording this. He's getting involved with Leslie in this free clinic to have a better like front facing, because he's losing his political connections. It seems like Martin is kind of just like, fuck it, I owe Joey, but I'm not going to bend to what he wants right now. He's actually, if I remember correctly, and I hope they get back to this, he wants to tackle the gaming administration, which is directly going to affect gambling laws, which is directly going to affect Joey Armstrong. And his casino, the Lakeview Casino, is one of his legitimate businesses. So if he loses that, and we've watched enough shit to know, like, if he loses that, where is he gonna launder his money? That's the main spot.
And that's the issue. Like, that's the issue thing. Like with Martin, it's like, you probably should focus on something else. But then even with the free clinic that his niece wants him to focus on, it's still a Joey Armstrong tie.
Or
I mean, his sister. It wants him to focus on, it's still a Joey Armstrong tie. So yeah, this could get crazy. That
can definitely get crazy. And the other legitimate business he has is the Heart Attach Escort Service, and low key, that's a great name for a male escort service, Heart Attach. And I also like that they're like objectifying men.
Of course.
I mean, I love that. I love that it's not women. I think that adds a different touch. Vanessa is now the madam of that legitimate business. So that is going to be very interesting. So we talked about if, let's say, laws get passed and they have to close the casino or something, like, what are some of Joey Armstrong's weaknesses? Because it seems like he doesn't have any right now. He's able to kind of leverage everyone in town with power because he also has power.
Yeah.
He has their secrets. He controls their vices. Like, he probably has damaging information on any one of these leaders or society people if he wants.
Yeah, but see, the problem is Joey don't have a ride or die. And when I say ride or die, like, he done people so bad and he punks people to the point that if everybody was to come together and decide to take him out, it's easier to convince an idiot like Randy to be like, look, man, you know. So, and I think those who've been in the business with him, like, you know, Marcel and whatnot, they probably, it's like, okay, they got enough pocket money. So that's what I would say one of his weaknesses. He don't have somebody who literally can't depend on him if he's dead.
Right.
Like Randy, for all intents and purposes, him and Haley got their side scams.
Right.
So Randy can still live. So that's what I see as a
True.
weakness.
That's very true. Well, if you ask us, like, why haven't people staying silent against him all this time? And it's like, okay, well, you either owe him money, so you're financially trapped, which is what he did with Doug and Randy, I'm sure. Legally compromised, because if I'm guilty of a crime, we worked on it together. You're also guilty of a crime.
Yep.
And then they don't want to go to jail. They're like, I don't want to be I'd rather just act like I don't know Joey Armstrong as opposed to like turning him in or going to the cops. But then again, he has the cops in his pocket. So it's very hard to even go there. And then you have that aura that Joey has where it seems like he's unstoppable. Like he's gonna get away with everything. But there are gatekeepers who feel like he's gonna get his just due one of these days, and they're gonna say, you know what, maybe he's too confident. You know, like maybe there are legal loopholes that he hasn't thought of ahead of time. Like I cannot assume, I cannot like help but think about just a scene in my head of just like him getting carried out in cuffs or like, God forbid, getting arrested or something like that. Like, do you see that in Joey's future?
Wow, that's deep. That's hard to see, you know, to be honest with you, because again, having the cops in his back pocket, it's like, even if they're like, call it in, and then he gets there, he'll get out on bail.
Right.
Probably won't even pay bail.
That's true. It'll be one of those things like, how did he get back out on the street? And it's like, and he's probably like, oh yeah, we'll never know, because he has connections. But he does pay people off like for their loyalty. And there are some people that don't give a fuck about money or anything like that are just like, no, you're a piece of shit. AKA, let's say Vanessa's kids. They find out like that he actually was behind killing their father. And, you know, in my notes, I have one of his biggest weaknesses being that he underestimates emotional variables like guilt, fear, revenge. And that speaks to what I just said about Vanessa's kids, where it's like, wait, no, we got to get back at you. Like, you destroyed our father. Like, Vanessa, in a current episode that we've watched, says like she wants the clinic to be named after Doug because she wants to go back to how he was before the casino got to him. And when they say the casino, they mean Joey and everything that fucking Joey did to take him down. And not to mention that he was involved in that initial crime that was haunting Martin. So he's been, you know, involved. He was involved in oh, no, that's Bill. I was going to say he was involved with sending Leslie away, but that was more Bill Hamilton. But again, Bill Hamilton, he uses Joey Armstrong as well. Like,
and we see some previews as we record this. On, you know, before the week of the 207th episodes and on, we see some like more like, I mean, Joey wanted Bill to run for governor. Yeah,
because they already have a business relationship.
Exactly.
So, you know, he needs that. Joey needs that to keep his corrupt institution going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So do you see, what is the future for Joey Armstrong's character in season 2? Like, do we see him finally getting taken down in a peg? Because now he's also working with Leslie Thomas.
I think that's the thing. She's going to give him a headache. So I don't think he's necessarily going to get taken down, but I think he's just going to be like, so stressed out working with her. He's probably even gonna try to get, I don't know if she got the house yet.
It's still being worked on.
Okay, because I was like, he's probably even gonna try to get Vanessa to Like, hey, don't let her move back there. You know, get her out of here.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely going to cause some friction.
Right.
But I really think that he's at that point where he's about to have the biggest headache, and that's working with Leslie Thomas.
Right. If there was a character to take down
Joey Armstrong,
who would it be?
Vanessa. I mean, Vanessa.
Oh, Vanessa. Oh, yeah, Vanessa. Vanessa,
strike from within, because she's found a weakness. That's her.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing stuff he never did, kissing in public. He don't look like the type of person that would kiss anybody in public.
Again, like having lunch and brunch at the country club. And I think he was considering going to Winterfest maybe at one point.
Yeah. This is 3 more minutes though. 3, 2, 1.
So I really enjoyed kind of peeling the curtain back a little bit on Joey Armstrong's criminal enterprise.
Yeah, me too.
Because like I mentioned previous times, he's one of my favorite characters. I love anti-heroes like him who are like, okay, yes, they're the bad guy. They're here to kind of destroy shit. But at the same time, like, he's likable. He's charming. He can cook.
Yeah.
He loves the shit out of Vanessa, however twisted that is, and cares about her kids, I think, more than her. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, Doug was probably always the hands-on. She probably was like, okay, I had these little things.
Right.
But Doug probably was the one who wanted them. And he probably the one who took care of them. And we see that now probably translating.
Exactly. And even just Joey from an outsider looking in and is already like, I think you should pay more attention to your kids. It's crazy.
Does he have any kids?
I don't think it was mentioned. I didn't see anything about kids. I just know he has an ex-wife.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been, throwing it out there. Like, what if he's Ashley's father, or find out he's Ashley's father? Maybe he's married to Ashley's mother. So
the one other white man on the show has to be Ashley's father. I really hope not.
Right.
That would just be so like womp womp. But also, if that's the case, I hope it doesn't happen anytime soon.
Okay.
Like, I hope that's something that like comes up later on. But do you see him and Vanessa lasting through the year? Do you see
6 months?
6 months.
6 months.
Okay,
that's my
relationship lasting 6 months.
I think.
Do you see Randy turning on him?
No, not at all.
He already like, Massa, please don't kill me, Massa. And they're really gonna say like, oh, I didn't go to my best friend's funeral that I grew up with because I didn't think Joey would like it. In front of Joey too, like, you see, Massa, I'm still like in line. It's just like, bro, like, come on, like, that's pathetic. Also, Haley.
Yeah,
she could be another, like, Joey could be like, what's going on here? And he could find out about Haley's plan and tell Bill Hamilton, because he knows that her and Randy's been doing suspicious things together. So
I could definitely see that happening, because he wants like, I don't want to say Bill in his pocket. He wants to be allies, because I feel like they're like so.
Yeah, but I mean, it's nice to have a lawyer.
Yeah,
and it's nice, and for a high-powered lawyer like Bill, it's nice to have a fixer.
Yep.
In the circle as well. Right.
Equals.
Exactly. So I mean, there's definitely something there. He could change Bill's mind about running for office, which could cause some friction with Martin. And Vernon Dupree. We our last recap episode, we joked about how Joey Armstrong does not care about the Duprees. When Vanessa was like, my friends might be dying from cancer, and he was like, oh, too bad for them. But do you see his relationship with the Duprees changing anytime soon, or do you think it's going to be like, we enter Joey Armstrong's role when we need to, and it has to be like a real big family thing, and if not, like, we don't know you, like.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how it happened. Especially they got so much going on, and I don't think he got like cancer pools.
Oh, what? No,
he ain't got
I think if anyone has that, it would probably be like the Duprees. I mean, I am excited to see where his character goes, because of the fact that he's kind of getting more into the civilian life, more into the society. And if he does open this clinic and Doug McBride's name out of all fucking things, like, there's going to be so much more there. Oh, and I didn't even mention before his kind of personal close relationship with Isaiah.
Yeah,
Isaiah talked about how Joey Armstrong was kind of like that older male figure that knew who he really was, right? Knew who he really was, respected who he was, still wanted more for him, but wasn't forcing a certain person on him, like Isaiah's father was.
And that makes so much
there's
sense.
gonna be more there too, because just because Isaiah is on a straight line now don't mean he always gonna be on a straight line.
Oh,
you know
that's
what
gonna
I'm
be
saying?
their first fight.
Eva and Isaiah.
Even Isaiah, when Joey and Leslie get mixy.
Oh yeah, because Isaiah, that's kind of like, oh, that's my peoples. You know what I mean? Like Isaiah was more excited to run into Joey than like his own father. Like. So I can't, we didn't talk a lot about that relationship, but that's a very realistic, like dynamic.
Yeah.
Between like the troubled kid who's really probably misunderstood, and then they identify with someone that might not be the best role model, but like kind of is because they're sketchy. They listen.
That's it.
And that's really exactly. And they listen. So I feel like that might come up in the future as well in so many different ways. I mentioned Marcel. So you have that. You have Leslie. You have Vanessa. You have the twins. You have so many. You have so many different elements that could be like turning against Joey. And I can't help but just see his smug smile and him holding a drink in a nice suit, and then all of a sudden like his whole world could change. And that's when it could get really, really, really spicy. Now I am a Joey Armstrong girly, so I hope that he's never fully taken down, but it will add some fun spice to the show.
Yeah, and then we had to come back and revisit all this.
Exactly. So the next kind of criminal aspect that is fun to look into is the whole Haley, her friend and Randy. So I definitely want to see that play out a little bit more and revisit that. But I really enjoyed kind of looking back at Joey's character, where we are now from season 2, especially because he wasn't meant to be a main character, and now that he is. So if you have some thoughts on Joey Armstrong's character, let us know in the comments. Is he your favorite? Is he your least favorite? What do you like about him? What you don't like about him? Were you surprised to learn that he's like a cooking influencer?
Influencer, how about that?
Content creator. I know he makes good Italian food. You just know it. Like he will hook up some pasta for you. Do you see his relationship with Vanessa imploding? Do you see? I am like one of those people that hope Doug McBride is still alive.
Me
Do you
too.
see Randy ever getting his revenge or turning on Joey? Will Joey find out about Haley and Bill Hamilton, poisoning Bill Hamilton? Like there's so many things. I want to know from all of you gatekeepers your thoughts on Joey Armstrong and what his future is on Beyond the Gates for season 2. And who else you want to see us do some deep dives on?
Let us know, because we enjoy doing these, and we're going to get back to them as you can see, so just let us know.
Yes. Make sure you check out our recap episodes every week. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the bell for notifications. If you like listening to our show, we are on all podcast platforms as well. We have a Facebook page, all of the above. So go follow us.
And we out.
Bye.
Thank you for joining this episode of Loving Them Gates. For more Beyond the Gates content from 6 Heart Media, be sure to 1, like and subscribe, but also check out the podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms, as well as the playlist right here. We do deep dives as well as weekly recaps.